We're looking at the front pages of the papers this morning, and joining us to review the front pages, we have the publisher of TheNiche newspaper, Ikechukwu. Amaechi, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Olive, good morning. Always my pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you as well. Let's head straight into the papers this morning to see what the big stories are saying. Starting off with the Punch. Kidnapping epidemic. Most abductions in Abuja, others not reported, according to victims' families. Okota, others gain notoriety as kidnapping hotspots in Lagos. Interesting. Why kidnap cases are underreported? AI private investigators. NSCDC destroys 4 rivers illegal refineries. Makinde presents Ibadan explosion report to Tinubu. 6,700 traders' goods lost to Mandela's building fire, according to NEMA. That was a really sad one. And I wonder why this happens every so often in Lagos Island. We just hear, especially during the festive season, or there's a fire outbreak and millions of properties or properties worth millions of naira being lost. Just really sad. Akeredolu for burial on the 23rd of February, says family. CBN may raise bank's capital base to 900 billion naira, according to a report. Reducing cabinet will affect performance, Tinubu insists. Dangote Cement hits 10 trillion naira capitalization. I think let's start with the second to the last story I just took. Reducing cabinet will affect performance, Tinubu insists. Is that a perspective you agree with?
I don't know what President Bola Tinubu means by that. If the size of the cabinet determines the level of performance, he might as well appoint 1,000 ministers so that we'll have a better performance. It doesn't make sense. It is, I think it's an argument that nobody can make. We are talking about the cost of governance and a bloated cabinet, particularly when some of these ministries, you can't really define what their functions are. 1 or 2 ministries can do the same thing, and they're actually doing the same thing. So why do you continue bloating the cabinet? So the argument does not hold water anywhere, because if you say that reducing it will affect performance, it means that increasing it will enhance performance. Why not go ahead and increase it? Why limit it to 48?
That's a very good argument.
It doesn't...
True, because, I mean, and also because we want a better Nigeria as soon as possible. 3,000, ministers might be better. 4,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how can we even analyze the performance of the ones that we already have and to see how very efficient they have been? Let's quickly touch on the NSCDC story. NSCDC destroys illegal refineries. We saw it on the front page. And we see a number of these stories as well. Every other time we're hearing about illegal refineries being destroyed. Should there maybe be a conversation about how we can convert these illegal refineries and start to ensure that they're functioning? Because even the legal refineries aren't really functioning as they should.
I think it is one of those contradictions that we have in Nigeria, that the so-called legal refineries are not functioning, whereas illegal refineries are thriving all over the place. I agree with you that there should be a conversation around how can we leverage on what these people are doing. Don't forget, in the 3 years of the Civil War, Biafrans, in the defunct Biafran Republic, we are refining petroleum and products. All the products that were used in Biafra in the 30 months that the Civil War lasted, they were all locally refined in Biafra. There was no importation. There was technology. Biafrans were building all manner of automobiles, armored cars, airports, and all that. So in a country where the so-called legal refineries are not working, are moribund, and we've been condemned to importing refined products. And we have people all over the place in Niger Delta refining this product. I think instead of destroying it and causing all this environmental degradation hazards, there should be a conversation. What are they doing? What is the quality of the product they are bringing to the market? Is there any way these things could be enhanced so as to go away from this issue of our inability to refine products locally? Don't forget that the only reason why, in my opinion, that these illegal refineries are thriving is because people are buying their products. If people are not buying their products, then they will be out of business. That's in fact, you don't need any government to enforce whatever it is they are enforcing. So that conversation is germane. I think it is high time we started talking about what is it that they are doing and how can we improve on what they are doing in order to get away from the quagmire of our inability. Every year they tell us billions of naira, if not trillions, have been spent on rehabilitation, refineries, yet nothing. So can we leverage on all these things and see how we can move the country forward? That's a conversation, if you ask me, that must be taken.
Okay, let's move away from the Punch and see what's on the Vanguard newspapers this morning. I think that comes up right next. Pretty interesting stories. It's going to be on your screen in a few seconds. It says here, Rumpus over relocation of federal agencies to Lagos. That's something I would like that our guest speaks on. Non-oil exports fall 24% to $4.46 billion, says CBN data. Tinubu sensitive to Nigeria's challenges, says Khan. Okay. Court of Appeal, 16 sacked Plateau PDP lawmakers to resume plenary today. Also, you can see a picture of Ayiri Emami with the president there. He's received a lot of visitors lately since, of course, his inauguration. People from all walks of life, as they say it in Nigeria. Kidnapping. Tinubu approves emergency procurement of tracking equipment. Federal government to fund students ban scheme with education tax, says the FIRS boss. Rivers crisis, confusion over conflicting court orders. And also federal government and governors to suspend nuisance taxes nationwide, says presidential committee. Over 1.1 million new COVID-19 cases recorded in 28 days globally. That's also really scary. Daddy, don't allow them, kill us. Father of kidnapped sisters recounts daughter's ordeal in captivity. A really painful story. All right, quickly, I think we have time for just two before we move to another newspaper. So let's talk about the relocation of federal agencies to Lagos and also the issues in Rivers State with Governor Sim Fubara having his budget, 800 billion naira budget, rejected by the court.
The issue of the Rumpus over relocation of federal agencies to Lagos. I've not actually read the story, but we need to know who is complaining.
Yeah, so the CBN and the FAAN.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, CBN is moving back, rather, and FAN is moving back.
Yes.
The people complaining are the Arewa Consultative Forum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're saying that it's a ploy to, sort of maybe
disenfranchise northern Nigeria.
Yeah, the northern Nigeria.
And then he also spoke yesterday about, that this also happened during Obasanjo's time. That during Obasanjo's time, he also tried to move federal agencies back from the Federal Capital Territory to Lagos. And, now, President Tinubu is doing pretty much the same thing.
And saying that the excuses, are not good enough, that we should also think about the reason why they were moved to Abuja in the first place. Because in the first place, Lagos was overpopulated, was why they were moved there. But now they're moving back to Lagos. It's looking very like they have some sinister motive.
Look, we've been talking about the issue of restructuring of this country for a very long time. And the issue of devolution of powers and the issue of making Nigerian federalism work in real terms. And that was why I asked that question, who is complaining? Of course, I know who must be complaining in this circumstance. And that's part of the problem we have in this country. You have the Niger Delta as the place we get oil, crude oil.
Yeah.
And all the oil companies have their headquarters in Lagos and not in the Niger Delta. It doesn't make sense. Abuja has no seaport, and we have agencies.
Yeah.
Lagos has the biggest, at least the Murtala Mohammed International Airport is still the biggest airport we have in Nigeria. So why can't FAN operate from Lagos? Of all the policies that President Bola Tinubu says he's pursuing, I don't have any issues. I don't have any issues with the relocation of some federal agencies out of Abuja. That does not mean that they are trying to take away things from the north. I don't see it so. But I also think that the federal government must also go the whole hog. Any NPC should be headquartered in the Niger Delta. Shell should have its headquarters in the Niger Delta. Whether it is in Rivers or it is in Delta, it is in Bayelsa.
Yeah.
But some of this is so that you will decongest. People operate from where we have access to. Part of the reason why our federalism is not working is that we don't give people where we have comparative advantage. All the seaports are in Lagos, and there is congestion. Those who import, over 60% of importation, if not more, are done by people from the southeast. And there are deep ports. In fact, I was told on Saturday that the deepest part of the ocean in this country is somewhere in Rivers State. And you have refused to develop the seaports in the Niger Delta and the southeast. So everybody comes to Lagos, comes to Apapa, then you clear your goods and you haul them in trailers going to the southeast. It takes you another 1 week. What manner of economy is that? So, what he has started is good. I don't read any meanings, ulterior motives into it. I think it is in line with what has been preached of fiscal federalism, of decentralization, of restructuring, doing things differently. But all I'm saying is that he must go the whole hog. He can't say, okay, fine, the CBN, now come to Lagos. Because there's a sense in that. Lagos remains the commercial capital of Nigeria. It is the economic hub of the country. So if institutions that deal with finance and all things have some of their agencies headquartered in Lagos, I don't see anything wrong with that. But we must also go the whole hog. And unless and until President Bola Tinubu also does the needful, which will include also decongesting Lagos and moving some of the agencies that are in Lagos and that have nothing to do with Lagos to where they are also
meant to be.
Yeah. Then that is when the charge of perhaps the Arewa consultative complaint will hold water.
Quickly also your thoughts, because we need to go. River State.
Well, the River State matter, I think I was discussing with somebody the other day, and I said I don't really know what Sim Fubra thinks he is doing. If you ask me, I think he's naive. If I were in his shoes, I wouldn't have signed that so-called agreement. With what the court did yesterday, you will see that the Wike camp has reneged on that agreement. because part of that agreement was that all cases in court should be withdrawn. And these people have gone back through the back door to a federal high court in Abuja that has nothing to do
With River State.
with River State and the issues. And so they have basically tied the governor's hands behind him. And I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow morning
They impeach him.
they impeach him. And he has nowhere now to run to.
It's a really dicey situation that Governor Siminalayi Fubara has found himself in. And once again, it reveals that politics is a game and one must learn how to play it. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
My pleasure.